Yul Song runs after Sarah outside, seeming interested in Yeon's reliance on Sarah. He also mentions that Seo Yeon will soon return to the country and would agree to let her meet the boy if the two reconcile. Sarah has no words for Yul Song's despicability. He wants them to get back together, and for her to help him win Yeon's favor and proceed with the Cha Yul Town project. Sarah firmly refuses and moves away. In the evening, Seo Yeon calls her to say the boy will soon have a summer break and wishes to meet his mother. Afterwards, Sarah goes drinking with a friend, feeling very distressed because she misses her child. The next day, Yul Song even sends flowers to Sarah at the solution office. She tears up the flowers and sends them back to his mother with a message to watch her son carefully and keep him from bothering Sarah. The chairman is very annoyed because Yul Song embarrasses her, but he still tells her about his plans and is determined to pursue Sarah. That night is the anniversary of Sarah's mother's death, and Kang Bom and Ji Jun come over to help her prepare. Later, Yul Song also brings fruit and ritual offerings. Sarah sends him away, but he mentions Seo Yeon, which makes her waver. At the memorial service, Sarah shows Ji Jun a photo of her mother, and he recognizes her as the woman who had reported Yumi to the prosecutor's office. Sarah is very agitated to learn this. And they also see her being followed by a strange man, making Sarah feel that her mother had not committed suicide but had been murdered, although they currently have no concrete evidence. The next day, they visit the old noodle shop of Sarah's mother. The owner of the shop next door also comes out to greet them, and they ask her about Sarah's mother before her death and if she knew Yumi. She says she has never seen Yumi, but a few days before Sarah's mother died, she was very concerned about a part-time employee named Sohee. Realizing this girl might know something, they decide they must find Sohee. Meanwhile, she is hiding from her abusive boyfriend. Yul Song's people also come after her, forcing her to flee her home. That night, Ji Jun and Sarah find Sohee as she is again harassed by her boyfriend near her part-time job. Sarah asks Sohee about who is chasing her, and Sohee says she doesn't want to be involved anymore. Sarah feels she knows about her mother's report to the police, so she chases after her, but Sohee has already run away. The next day, Sarah texts Sohee, persuading her to cooperate, and eventually, she agrees. Sohee then goes to Solutions' office and recounts her part-time work at Yul Song's engagement party. There, she accidentally recorded Yumi blackmailing Yul Song about their affair and the bribery involving a group of 5, and then Yul Song sending someone to eliminate Yumi. Due to this, Sohee went with Sarah's mother to the prosecutor's office the next day. However, she went to the restroom, and when she came out, she sees Sarah's mother being taken away in a car by a man with Yul Song's secretary. The next day, Secretary Jang and Yul Song meet. He gives her money and asks her to terminate the contract, but she asks him to consider her as a matchmaking candidate to be his wife. That night, Sohee decides to go to the police, but upon leaving her house, she is confronted and bullied by her ex-boyfriend, who accuses her of contacting a lawyer. He acts jealously and brutally assaults her. Sarah and Ji Jun go to pick up Sohee but find her missing, and her phone is not answered. Meanwhile, the ex-boyfriend pushes Sohee, causing her head to hit a brick wall, killing her instantly. When Sarah and Ji Jun finally get through, Sohee is already in the morgue. That night, Ji Jun takes Sarah home and comforts her. However, finding her not answering her phone, he worries and returns, finding the door unlocked with his birthday as the code. Sarah inside has fainted from stress. Ji Jun stays to take care of her until she wakes up. The next day, Ji Jun seeks the driver who transported Yumi on the night of the accident. A former colleague says he has quit driving a taxi to work for a company. Arriving at his house, Ji Jun finds it unlocked, empty, but there is a pair of luxury shoes worth 9 million won. Meanwhile, the driver is meeting with chairman of Cha Yul. Sarah meets with Yeon to decline a full-time role in her election campaign, offering instead to be a consultant. Yeon finds this interesting and agrees. Mentioning Yul Song has sent flowers to her and even Sarah's name is on the bouquet. This further convinces Sarah of her secret plan, which she shares with Yeon. That morning at Solution, Sarah receives flowers from Yul Song again, but this time she wants to accept them. She also tells Ji Jun that she wants to return to the House of Cha family. It turns out Sarah wants to investigate Yul Song, and they have no other choice but for her to pretend to get back with him. Ji Jun then meets Yul Song to confront him, with Chairman Cha Yul's presence there, adamantly denying any chance of Sarah returning to her house. Ji Jun enters the office with Yul Song and asserts that he must be involved in Sarah's mother's death, which Yul Song denies. Right then, Sarah enters the room. she declares her wish to reunite with Yeol Song to see her son, and Yeol Song immediately sets a condition requiring Sarah to arrange a meeting with Young-ah. Meanwhile, Ji-Jun's heart is shattered seeing Sarah returning to Yeol Song. He stands below her apartment all night but doesn't dare to ring the bell. The next day, Sarah informs director Jang Mi of her wish to take a 2-month leave to get back with Yeol Song. Everyone is panicked by this news. Sarah then explains to everyone her plan to deceive Yeol Song. She arranges for Yeol Song to meet Young-ah. Young-ah bluntly states she detests Yeol Song and is only meeting him for Sarah, and today's meeting would merely be a simple meal. Despite the humiliation, Yeol Song still swallows his pride because at least he gets a chance to approach Young-ah. Just then, his mother walks in, about to scream as usual but stops upon seeing Young-ah and doesn't dare to say anything, only greets her with a smile. After Young-ah leaves, Yeol Song is visibly excited. But Sarah says if he wants to continue, he needs to sign a clear marriage contract. Sarah gets custody of their child, and if they divorce, Yeol Song must pay her 3 billion won. Yeol Song agrees to 2 billion if Sarah helps with his project. Sarah agrees. However, the next day, the police enter Solutions office with a search warrant, accusing Sarah of providing legal advice illegally as she couldn't practice law having been released from prison a year ago and sharing commissions with Ji-Jun. Ji-Jun says that he has always been with her as a legal advisor, so the first accusation can be clarified. Right then, Chairman Cha-yeol walks in, revealing she was the one who had anonymously accused Sarah, to warn her about messing with her son. Sarah later meets with Yeol Song and suggests ending their collaboration if he continues to let his mother manipulate everything. She uses gentle words to evoke his empathy. Upon returning to the office, she is informed that the police have confiscated a double-entry accounting book from Solution, proving the company's fraud. However, no one knew about this book, and Sarah suspects they have been framed. Upon checking the CCTV, they discover the hard drive was stolen. Sarah realizes the thief is someone inside the team who knew Dae-ki could recover data, so they didn't just delete the CCTV but also stole the hard drive. She enters Hee-jin's room and quickly finds the CCTV hard drive in her drawer, realizing she has been Cha-yeol's spy all along. It turns out she wanted to win Wee-won's favor and had conspired with her to trap Solution. Ji-Jun feels Sarah is struggling too much and tells her not to try to get back with Yeol Song anymore, but Sarah refuses, so he resigns and leaves soon after. Not long after, Sarah officially returns as the daughter-in-law of the Cha family, surprising her mother-in-law. When she calls Yeol Song to make a scene, Sarah shows her the contract with Yeol Song and walk away. In the meantime, Ji-Jun opens his own law firm, and Dae-ki and Kang Bom come to visit him. Eventually, Seo-yeon returns, and Sarah is overjoyed to reunite with her son after a long time. That night, Chairman Cha-yeol threatens Sarah again and forces her to sleep with Yeol Song to prove her sincerity in wanting to reconcile. Yeol Song also speaks up, suggesting that they should let Sarah be comfortable. Wee-won suddenly stands up and demands Sarah bring fruit to her room. Sarah complies but brings the fruit cut in the way it is offered to the dead in Korea, aiming to tease her. Sarah also reminds her that a daughter-in-law is a guest in the house and she should behave accordingly. While Cha's mother and daughter are away, Sarah sneaks into her room to check their schedule on the date her mother died. It turns out that both were not at the crime scene. Sarah takes a screenshot and tries to erase any traces before planning to leave. However, as she is about to leave, Wee-won opens the door and enters, and Sarah hides behind the door. Luckily, Seo-yeon runs back and tells his grandma to go play with him, saving Sarah, who is shaking behind the door. Meanwhile, Dae-ki and Kang Bom at Ji-Jun's office see the case diagram of Yumi and offer to help him find the whereabouts of the taxi driver. They trace him to a parking lot, where Dae-ki approaches the driver's car to investigate and finds Wee-won inside. It turns out she is the one who eliminated Yumi, not her son. Wee-won tells the taxi driver to flee because a group of lawyers is investigating his case. She throws him some money and tells him to leave or he will go to jail. The next day, the taxi driver comes to Cha's house, and Sarah approaches him to ask about the shoes he is wearing. He reveals that they were Yeol Song's old ones and had been given to him. After that, she comes to visit Ji-Jun. And they realize the driver is also the person who took Sarah's mother away from the prosecutor's office, and he also works for Chairman Cha, and the mother and child of the Cha family had not scheduled their work correctly. The next day, Sarah invites the driver Duk-gu to the Solution office, showing him CCTV footage of him leading her mother out of the prosecutor's office, but he vehemently denies it. Afterward, Duk-gu meets Yeol Song and attempts to extort money over Sarah discovering him. However, Yul Song confidently says that the person recorded is him and no one else, so Duk-gu would still be the one to blame. From there, when Yul Song returns home, he checks everywhere for hidden cameras, just as Sarah comes back and shows him the CCTV footage. She says Gi Jun showed her that footage, and when he denies it, Sarah leaves, saddened, which seems to also lower Yul Song's guard. That night, Yul Song is informed that the Cha Yultown project has been approved, praising it as Sarah's achievement, but Hui-won says it wasn't her doing. Later, Sarah calls Young-ah to thank her, revealing that the bill was going to pass anyway, but they had staged a play to make the Cha family respect Sarah. Meanwhile, Hui-won scolds her son for trusting Sarah. He is fed up to the neck and criticizes back for Hui-won's trust in Duk-soo. After finishing his piece, he leaves. That night, Yul Song comes home drunk, and Sarah uses the opportunity to unlock his phone with his fingerprint to read his messages but finds nothing suspicious except for a message arranging a meeting at 8 a.m. the following Monday. She immediately informs Gi Jun, and he finally acknowledges that her return to the house was beneficial. That day, Gi Jun, Kang Bom, and Dae-ki follow the driver's car, stage an accident, and kidnap him. They then bring the car to a meeting point at a car demolition site and use his phone to signal their arrival. The driver's car is quickly crushed by another car, and it turns out Solution is the savior of his life. Yul Song had lured him there as a trap to eliminate him. At that moment, Sarah arrives and asks the driver what he had done with her mother. He says he only followed Yul Song's orders to lure Sarah's mother outside, and then they leave him on the side of the road, at which point Sarah's mother had been drugged. Gi Jun was about to ask him more about Yumi when he requested to smoke a cigarette first. At this time, Sarah was almost fainting upon learning that Yul Song had harmed her mother. Everyone was worried and came to help her stand when the driver took the opportunity to flee and jumped into a car intending to escape. However, as soon as he drove out of the parking lot, he was immediately hit by another car and the driver was promptly taken to the emergency room. A flashback shows the day Sarah's mother died. Before that happened, she was brought by Yul Song to the rooftop of the construction site where Sarah's father had died. Turn out right after finding out about Yumi, Sarah's mother went to meet Yul Song and threatened to reveal about Yumi's death to the police unless he helped Sarah get out of prison for being wrongfully accused. He chased her away, and so she went to the prosecutor's office. He snapped at her, grabbed her by the throat to ask who had told her about Yumi's situation, and when she refused to speak, he pushed and she fell, accidentally falling off the rooftop.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.